Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. I want to start today by tapping into a feeling that I think is pretty much universal at this point.
Okay.
It's that sensation you get when you're lying in bed at night, maybe it's 11:30, the lights are off, you're totally exhausted.
And you just have that pit in your stomach.
Exactly. It's not just tiredness, it's frustration. You replay the day, and you realize, I didn't do a single thing for myself today.
It's the passenger effect. You feel like you spent the last, 16 hours just responding to everyone else's demands?
Your boss, your kids, your spouse, your inbox.
And you were just along for the ride.
Yes. And the story we tell ourselves in that moment is always the same. I would change my life, I'd learn that skill, I'd start that side hustle if I just had the time. But I'm looking at our notes for today, and we are covering this manifesto from Macromind that basically calls that whole narrative a lie.
It is a bit of a slap in the face, isn't it?
A little bit. It's called the golden 1 hour of consistency.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I first read that, my skepticism radar just, went off.
Oh, for sure.
It sounds like a get-rich-quick thing or like a
Yeah.
6-minute abs workout. Is this actually substantive, or is it just another productivity gimmick?
I had the same reaction. I mean, we see so much of this hustle culture stuff.
Yeah.
But what makes this deep dive different and why I think this manifesto is actually worth our time is that it's not asking for a radical overhaul. It's not saying wake up at 4 a.m. or quit your job.
Right.
It's built on a very boring, very unsexy idea. You need exactly one focused hour every single day to completely alter your path.
Just 1 hour.
Just one.
For it.
But, and here's the catch, it has to be a selfish hour.
Selfish now.
It can't be for your employer. It can't be for your family. It has to be 100% reinvested in your own future.
Okay, so let's play devil's advocate here. Because I can hear people listening right now screaming at their phone. That sounds lovely, but you don't understand my life. I work 9 to 6, I commute, I have to make dinner. I literally do not have a spare hour. And this is where the source material gets a little aggressive with what it calls the busy illusion.
Right. This is the part where the manifesto holds up a mirror that we might not want to look into. The argument is that we aren't actually busy in the productive sense. We're just distracted. We confuse activity with achievement.
That is a stinging distinction.
It is. And the source brings the receipts. They included this data about average screen time, and I want you to guess, before I say it, how much time the average person spends online daily.
Oh, man. I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 hours, if you count work stuff.
The data point in the notes is 6 hours and 37 minutes.
Nearly 7 hours.
Nearly 7 hours. Now, sure, some of that is work, but let's be honest. How much of that is, revenge, bedtime procrastination?
Or doom scrolling news.
How much is checking Instagram in the elevator? The source argues we are just bleeding time in these 5-minute chunks all day long.
6 hours and 37 minutes.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. It's almost a full-time job just being on your phone.
Exactly. And that's the mission of this deep dive. We aren't trying to magically create a 25th hour in the day. That's impossible. We're looking at the math of what happens if you reclaim just one of those 6 wasted hours.
If you trade the scroll for a skill, what actually happens in a year?
Okay.
So let's get into that math. The manifesto uses a concept called Kaizen. Now, I've heard of Kaizen with Toyota and manufacturing.
Efficiency stuff, yeah.
But how does that apply to a normal person's daily life?
So Kaizen is this Japanese philosophy of continuous improvement. But the context is really important here. This became popular in post-war Japan. The country was devastated. They didn't have the resources to build new factories overnight. They couldn't just, innovate their way out of the ashes instantly.
They had to work with what they had.
Right. They focused on improving 1% every single day, fixing one bolt, streamlining one process. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about being slightly better than yesterday.
And the source argues that most of us are waiting for that big New Year's resolution moment.
We want the big, dramatic change. But real change is microscopic.
It's the unsexy work.
It's the 1%. And the math the source provides is really compelling. You take that 1 hour a day. It feels like nothing on a Tuesday, right?
Right.
You read for an hour or you code for an hour. You go to bed, you feel exactly the same.
You don't feel any smarter. You don't look fitter.
No. But zoom out. 1 hour a day is 365 hours a year. To put that in perspective, the source notes that a standard university course is maybe 40 to 50 hours of lecture time.
Okay.
So 365 hours is roughly equivalent to completing a standalone master's degree in terms of just focused effort.
That's wild. So in the time I spent watching, 3 seasons of a TV show, I could have essentially earned a master's degree in a new field.
In terms of raw hours, yes. The volume of time we waste is massive, but because we waste it in small drips, we don't notice the puddle forming.
That brings me to the next big mental hurdle the source talks about,
Mm.
the intimidation factor. We've all heard of Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000-hour rule.
Mm.
And when I hear that, I just want to give up. I mean, I don't have 10,000 hours. That's a decade.
It's the classic paralysis. We see the mountain peak, so we never even put our boots on. But the manifesto makes this really critical distinction here that I think is so liberating. It says, you do not need 10,000 hours to change your life. You need 10,000 hours for mastery. You only need about 100 hours for competence.
Well, I like that. Competence gets you paid. Mastery gets you famous, maybe. But competence changes your actual life.
Exactly. But you can't get to hour 100, and you certainly can't get to hour 10,000 if you don't do the first hour. The source argues that the first hour is actually harder than the 10,000th hour.
Why? Because of inertia?
Because of the lack of feedback. And this brings us to this concept of momentum versus motivation. This was probably my favorite part of the reading.
Okay.
How many times have you said, I'm just not motivated to do it today?
All the time. I'm waiting for inspiration to strike or something.
The source says motivation is a liar. It's a feeling, and feelings are fickle. You don't need motivation, you need momentum. That 1 hour creates a routine that functions like luck in slow motion.
Luck in slow motion. Unpack that for me.
Well, they use this analogy of planting a tree. You water it today, nothing happens. You water it tomorrow, still nothing. If you only watered it when you felt motivated, that tree is dead.
Right?
But if you water it blindly every single day, eventually you look out the window and there's a tree, that wasn't luck. It was the slow accumulation of boring, repetitive actions.
It reminds me of that saying, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah.
But let's move from analogies to, reality, because the source includes some case studies that really ground this. I want to talk about the no time guy.
This is a great example. He's exactly the person we were talking about at the beginning.
Right. So the story is this guy's working a standard corporate job, 9 to 6. He's a guy saying, I have no time. He comes home, he's mentally fried. So his routine was dinner and then just Netflix until midnight.
Which is a 4-hour block of time.
4 hours. And look, I get it. He's tired. He feels like he earned that rest. But he realized he was trapped. So he made a deal with himself, didn't quit his job. He just swapped the scrolling for 1 hour of studying digital marketing.
And that's important. He studied a high-leverage skill. He wasn't just, reading random Wikipedia articles.
Correct. And here's the result. 1 year later, he wasn't just knowledgeable. He was running his own agency. He'd completely replaced his income. The source emphasizes same 24 hours, same level of exhaustion at the start, just a different allocation of that one resource.
It proves the time wasn't found. It wasn't hidden under the couch cushions. It was traded. He traded entertainment, which is comfort for growth, which is future equity.
But let's look at the flip side, because that story sounds a bit like a highlight reel. He studied and then he won. The second story, the gamer versus the coder, actually breaks down the struggle. And I think this is where people fail.
Yes, this is the Valley of Death example.
So, similar setup. A guy loves video games, decides to trade that time for learning to code. Python, I think it was. So,
yeah.
month 1, he does his hour every day. What happens?
Nothing. In fact, worse than nothing. He's frustrated. He doesn't get the syntax. He feels stupid. And he's missing his video games, so he feels deprived.
Okay. Month 2?
Still nothing. This is the danger zone. The source calls this the boring phase.
Yeah.
You've put in maybe 60 hours of work. That's a week and a half of full-time labor, and you have $0 to show for it. Your app doesn't work. You aren't getting hired.
This is where 90% of people quit.
Because the feedback loop is completely broken.
It's that invisible progress we talked about.
Exactly. But he pushed through. By month 3, he built a simple, ugly app. By month 6, he got a small freelance gig. By year 1, he was out-earning his day job.
Wow.
But if he had stopped at month 2, which is where most of us stop, he would have just been a guy who wasted 60 hours.
That's a chilling thought, stopping just before the breakthrough. It connects to that phone update analogy the source uses.
I love that visual.
You plug your phone in at night, the screen goes black, it looks dead. But inside, the operating system is completely rewriting itself. You wake up, and the phone is faster. It has new features. The growth happened while the screen was dark.
And that's the golden hour. It's your time in the dark. It's boring. It's unglamorous. But you are rewriting your internal operating system so that eventually you run smoother.
Okay, so we've established the math and we've seen the path. Let's talk obstacles. Because the minute you decide to do this, the minute you say, okay, I'm blocking out 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., you hit a wall. And the force calls this analysis paralysis.
This is a huge trap, especially for smart people.
It really is. I feel this. You sit down for your hour and you think, okay, should I learn Spanish or code? Should I start a dropshipping business or write a novel? And you spend the whole hour researching what to do instead of doing it.
I have definitely been there. The manifesto is very strict about this. It says, pick one thing. It doesn't even have to be the perfect thing. Just pick one thing that moves the needle.
But how do you know what moves the needle?
The source points to economic urgency here. And this is where the World Economic Forum data comes in. This part scared me a little, to be honest.
Let's hear it.
The report states that the half-life of a learned skill is now about 5 years.
5 years.
Which means something you learned 5 years ago is likely half as valuable today.
Oh,
And they predict that 50% of all employees will need major reskilling by 2025 and beyond.
so half the workforce is effectively becoming obsolete and they don't even know it.
Essentially. So when you're choosing your golden hour topic, you shouldn't just pick something fun. You need to pick something that ensures your survival in the gig economy. The source argues this isn't a hobby, it's a survival strategy. If you aren't upgrading your OS, you're running on Windows 95 in an AI world.
That puts a lot more weight on it. It's not just self-improvement, it's self-preservation.
Correct.
Now, there's one more cost we have to discuss, and I'm glad the source included this because nobody talks about it. We talk about the time cost, the energy cost, but not the social cost.
The outgrowing the circle section, this is the painful part.
It is. The source implies that if you actually commit to this, if you start hoarding that hour for yourself, you are going to alienate people.
You absolutely will. Think about your friend group. Most social circles operate on this contract of shared leisure. We hang out, we complain about work, we watch the game, we drink.
It's a cycle of distraction.
And it's comfortable, very comfortable. But the moment you say, no, I can't come to happy hour, I have to study, or I can't watch the game, I'm working on my business, you are breaking that contract.
You become a mirror to your friends. Your discipline makes them feel bad about their lack of discipline.
And the reaction usually isn't good for you.
Right.
Initially, it's ridicule. Oh, look at Mr. Elon Musk over here. Or, you're too good for us now. You're being boring.
That fear of being the boring friend is powerful. It keeps a lot of people stuck.
It does. It's the crab bucket mentality. If one crab tries to crawl out, the others pull it back down. But, and here's the glimmer of hope, the source notes the shift. Success is quiet in the beginning, but loud in the end.
I underline that line.
Eventually, if you stick with it, the ridicule stops. When you launch the business, or you get the promotion, or you speak the new language fluently, the boring comments turn into questions.
How did you do it?
Exactly. Can you help me? The source says you have to be willing to be lonely for a season, to be magnetic for a lifetime. You outgrow the circle, but you eventually attract a new circle of people who are also building.
That's a tough pill to swallow, but I think it's the honest truth.
Yeah.
You can't change your life without changing your lifestyle.
Precisely.
So we've looked at the math, the stories, the strategy, the social fallout. We're coming to the end of our time here. How do we land this? What's the final takeaway?
The source ends with a challenge. It calls it the final deal. And it basically says, make a contract with yourself. Treat this golden hour not as a flexible maybe, but as a non-negotiable meeting.
A meeting with who?
A meeting with your future self. That's the framing. If you had a meeting with your CEO, you wouldn't skip it because you were tired or not in the mood. You'd show up.
Right.
Why do we treat our future selves with less respect than our bosses?
That hits hard. We blow off our own dreams constantly, but we never blow off a client.
Right. And the expert in the source leaves us with one final provocative question to chew on. It's a question that is intended to ruin your next Netflix binge.
Laughs. Okay, hit me with it.
The question is, are you using your hours to escape your life or to build it?
Wow. Escaping or building?
It forces you to look at your evening routine. Is that show, that drink, that scroll, is it a brick in the foundation of the house you want to live in, or is it just an escape hatch from the house you hate?
That's the difference between busy and productive, isn't it? One is running on a hamster wheel, the other is running up a hill.
And look, the source admits, 1 hour a day doesn't seem like much. It won't change the world overnight. But it will absolutely, mathematically change your world.
So here's the call to action, and we want to be very specific about this, because the source warns against just consuming this deep dive as more entertainment.
That would be ironic, wouldn't it? Wasting your time listening to us talk about not wasting time and then doing nothing.
I'm serious. Unlock your phone. Look at tomorrow. Find the 60-minute block. Maybe it's 6 a.m. before the kids wake up. Maybe it's 9 p.m. after the dishes are done. Maybe it's your lunch break. Block it out. Name it the golden hour.
And just show up for the meeting. Even if you just sit there and stare at a blank page, show up.
Your future self is waiting for you in that hour. Do not stand them up.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
See you next time.